For years, I endured his comments, his shoves in the hallways, the way he'd humiliate me in front of the entire school. Every single day, every time our paths crossed. But that day, something was completely different. I was alone in the study hall after class when I heard the footsteps. I recognized that heavy sound, that distinct thud of his sneakers on the floor. Before I could move away, he was there, coming straight at me. My first instinct was panic, that familiar, visceral panic I knew so well. He slammed me against the wall hard, but it wasn't an aggressive shove. It was different. Completely different. His hand stayed on my waist, not to hurt me, but as if it were necessary, as if he needed to keep me there, close to him. The door slammed shut behind him, and I heard that sound, the click of the lock that made my whole body go rigid. My heart raced. That door standing between us and the rest of the world. "Don't make a sound," he whispered, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. There was no anger there, none of the tone I knew. There was fear, pure, absolute fear. He was so close I could feel every breath against my face, his eyes searching mine, but not the way they used to. Not with that cruel edge I knew so well. There was desperation in his gaze, hunger, a vulnerability that Marcus, the bully, the guy everyone feared, wasn't supposed to show. My own traitorous body responded to the proximity, fear, but also something else. Something I didn't want to admit I felt for my tormentor. Something forbidden. Something that terrified and attracted me at the same time. His fingers traced my jawline with a gentleness that contradicted all those years of violence between us. It was like he was seeing something in me that no one else saw. Like in that moment, in that locked room. It was just the two of us in the universe. When he whispered my name, his voice cracked. Not from mockery. Not from anger. From truth. From pure vulnerability. From desire so raw it hurt to hear. And in that second, when his eyes met mine, I knew that everything, absolutely everything, had changed forever. His voice cracking when he said my name. No mockery, no anger. Something completely different. I was still trying to process what had happened, what was happening, when he pulled back a little. Just enough for me to breathe easier. Enough for me to see his face without us being pressed against each other. He didn't look like the Marcus I knew anymore. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. That boy who always glared at me with such defiance, who held his head high while tearing me down, now couldn't look me in the eye. He was shredding his nails, literally destroying them as he stood there against the wall beside me. Bitten nails. How long had he been doing that? How long had he been destroying himself like this? In that moment, looking at his bloody fingernails, I realized something I'd never noticed in all those years. The Marcus who bullied me wasn't a monster. He was someone suffering just as much as I was. Maybe more. "You think I'm a monster," he said finally, his voice so low I could barely hear it. "After everything I did. The years. Every single time." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. And there was so much pain in it that my chest tightened. "You don't get it," he continued, tears streaming now. "I didn't know how to handle this. How to handle you. The way you make me feel and who I actually am. Who I really am underneath all this." He took a deep, shaky breath. "So I was cruel. I bullied you because that was the only way I knew how to get close to you without people catching on. Without the truth about me getting out. Without my dad finding out. Without anyone knowing why I can't stop thinking about you." The words tumbled out like a confession he was terrified to make. And as they hung in the air, I understood. I understood everything he had done perfectly. All those years. That grueling, painful, desperate defense mechanism. He was protecting himself. Or trying to. It wasn't working. "You're not a monster," I said. And my voice surprised even me. Soft. Compassionate. Because in that moment, watching him break down, destroying himself, I could only see a person who was just as scared as I was. His hand was still on the wall next to my head. And now I understood. He wasn't pinning me down. He was holding himself up, holding himself back from losing control completely. "I can't keep pretending," he whispered. I can't take it anymore. The closeness between us had changed meaning. It wasn't a trap anymore. It was protection. I bullied you because I couldn't stop thinking about you, he continued, his voice breaking with every word. Because you make me feel things I'm not supposed to feel. Things my dad would lose his mind over. Things that go against everything this town believes in. Things that feel like sin. He took a deep breath, and it was as if the weight of entire years, was lifting off his body in that moment. My father would throw me out, he said, and those words held absolute weight. If he found out, if anyone found out, in a town like this, everyone knows everyone. You can't escape. There's nowhere to hide. No tolerance for being different. No space for this. He looked at me, finally, and his eyes were brimming with tears. I hate that I feel this way about you. I hate that my body responds like this. I hate having to pretend to be straight, having to tell jokes about girls, having to hurt you every day just to prove I'm not. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. I'm hiding too, I whispered. And I heard the truth in my own voice. All those years he bullied me, I was hiding the same thing, the same fear, the same pain. We were trapped in the same prison, just on different sides of the bars. Us. Two guys in a town that had written us off before we even understood ourselves. The space between our bodies was no longer suffocating from lack of distance. It was suffocating because it still existed, because there were inches between his mouth and mine. And those inches represented everything that was impossible, everything that was forbidden, everything we both desired. I hate that I want this, he whispered against my neck. I hate that I want you. I hate. His hands found my face, and he looked at me with an intensity that burned, with an honesty that was almost unbearable. If I do this, we can never go back. You know that, right? We can never undo this. Once we cross that line, his forehead touched mine. We'll be exposed. Forever. And yet, in that moment, with our foreheads touching, with our breaths mingling, I had never felt more true, more real. The space between us was suffocating, not because it was too small. It was suffocating because it still existed. That silence between us was real, palpable, frightening. We both knew what it meant. We both knew what would come if we crossed that line. And yet, neither of us could pull away. My mother would cry for weeks, he said suddenly. If she knew, whole weeks. And my father would say I dishonored the family, that I'm a disgrace, that I'm no longer his son. The words came out like a confession, like an inventory of everything he had to lose. My friends, I continued, because I also needed to say it out loud. Half of them would disappear. The other half would make jokes about me until the end of high school. And everything I've built here would be destroyed. We were enumerating the consequences as if we could process them that way, as if by saying them aloud, they would become less real. So we could keep it a secret, he suggested, and there was a fragile hope in his voice. Only the two of us would know. No one would ever find out. No one would have to know, and He left the sentence hanging in the air. But we both knew the truth. Secrecy is a prison. Hiding was exactly what we had been doing for so long, and it had broken us. Or, I said slowly, we could tell. A few people. People who truly know us. Friends who truly care. Not the whole world at once, but trusted people. He pondered this, truly pondered it. There's Alex, he whispered, and Casey. Maybe they'd understand. And Jordan, I added, and my cousin. If we told them, we'd have backup. A real group of people who would have our backs. He took a deep breath. Or, he said, and there was hope in his voice now. True hope. We could just start, slowly. No pressure, no rush. See what it's like. See if we really feel this, or if it's just the moment. The adrenaline. The fear. He looked into my eyes. Not everything has to be a binary decision, right? between never and always. We can just be together. Here. Now. And then we'll see what it turns into. His hand moved from my face to my hand. He held it really, deliberately, intentionally. The first touch that wasn't an escape. It was a choice. My fingers intertwined with his, and it was as if every cell in my body was on fire. His other hand found my face, and he pulled my forehead against his again. For the first time, I whispered. The closed door didn't feel like a prison. It felt like protection. Protection, he repeated against my lip. And then, finally, he kissed me. After that first kiss, everything changed. It wasn't a gradual change. It was instantaneous, as if the world had realigned around that moment and, suddenly, our entire reality was different. In the weeks that followed, we learned what it meant to be truly connected to someone. It wasn't just the physicality of touch, though, that was incredibly important. Finding safety in his arms, knowing I could be vulnerable there and wouldn't be judged. It was more than that. It was being completely exposed. It was sharing dreams I had never said aloud. It was hearing his fears and recognizing mine reflected in them. It was laughing when the adrenaline faded and reality returned. It was crying on his neck when the truth of our situation became too real. The psychological safety between us was absolute. I could be who I truly was, in a way I had never been able to be with anyone before. "What do you want to do?" he asked one night, his fingers tracing my face. "That," I whispered, "just being here. With you." "No, I mean, after. In the future. Do you want to try for real? Or are we going to be stuck in this forever?" The question was real. The hope in it was real. But there was also fear. So we planned. Small things. Things that seemed possible. First, we'd tell Felipe and Sara. Then, we'd find more people who could understand. Eventually, we'd have a safe circle around us. A group of people who knew the truth and loved us despite the social pressures trying to crush us. And then it would be time to stop running. But everything came crashing down the moment we heard footsteps outside the room. A girl's voice. My heart stopped. We had been so sure we'd be alone. In that last minute when we were kissing, when his hands were exploring my body, when I was whispering how much I loved him and he was whispering that he'd waited for this for so long. The footsteps passed, but the memory lingered. We were so close to being discovered. A whole room full of people could have been listening right then. One wrong word from any of them, and our entire lives would be exposed. But when our eyes met, when we saw the fear and courage reflecting in each other, I knew. "It doesn't matter anymore," he whispered. "I won't hide it. I won't hide you. If someone finds out, let them find out. Let the whole world know. I'm not afraid anymore." His finger lifted my chin. "I'm afraid of losing you. That's the only fear that matters now." Tears streamed down my face as he kissed me again. And in that kiss was everything. All the anger, all the pain, all the courage we had kept stored away for so long. The door was still closed, but for the first time, we didn't want to leave. We wanted to stay there forever. We wanted the rest of the world to disappear so that only we existed. Just two boys who loved each other in a community that had tried to forbid us from existing. Leaving that room was like being reborn into an entirely new world. Over the following weeks, the reality of the consequences became clear. My mother cried. Not for weeks, for whole days. She couldn't look at me without her eyes filling with tears, as if she had lost a son. And perhaps, in a way, she had. The son she expected me to be had died. Now there was only the truth of who I really was. My father didn't speak to me for 2 months. 2 whole months of deafening silence. But then, one night, he came into my room. He didn't say much. He just sat on my bed and cried. And for the first time in my life, I knew that maybe, eventually, he would understand. My entire friend group basically ghosted me. The people I thought were my ride or die disappeared, like coming out was contagious. But then something happened that I didn't expect. Jordan showed up, just appeared one day and said, "I was waiting to see if you'd actually own it. Now that you are, I've got your back." Casey hugged us tight when we told her. Tears everywhere. She said she'd already suspected it. It had been obvious for years, honestly. And Alex. Alex came out publicly at school the same week, kissed Marcus in the hallway without hesitation. Not everything was smooth. People talked. Some still do. The town hasn't changed, but we found people who did. We built a real family, just not one made by blood. People who get it. People who love us exactly as we are. And I stopped being ashamed. It didn't happen overnight. It happened gradually. Every day that I looked at Marcus and he looked at me, and we chose each other again, despite everything, despite everyone, I felt that shame shrink a little more. I'm not ashamed anymore. Not of my identity. Not of the fact that he is a man. Not of the love we share. My parents are still finding their way toward acceptance. My dad and I actually talk now. He gets it, or he's trying to, that's the point. My mom joined a support group for PFLAG to understand me better. It's not like everything's suddenly fixed, but they're trying. They're here. It means our relationship can grow, even if slowly. It means hope is actually real. And when I see Marcus, when he meets me in the hallway and kisses me without caring who's looking, when he tells people he's gay and that he loves me with his whole chest, when he faces down the stairs and the comments without breaking, I see what transformation actually looks like. I see courage. I see a guy who took the scariest truth of his life and made it beautiful, made it matter, made it undeniable. The wall he pushed me against that first day is no longer a trap. It's where our story began. It's where two imprisoned people managed to free each other. If you have ever felt trapped by who you are, trapped by expectation, by the community, by family, by your own hands, I want you to know this. The door can be opened. And when it is, the light that enters is brighter than anything you have ever imagined. Your story matters. Your truth deserves to be told. And if no one else says it for you, I say it now. You are worthy exactly as you are. The door is open. We are both ready. We are ready to live, to love, to be seen and to be honored for who we really are. We are ready.